There is a widely accepted hypothesis that Hekate was a foreign deity who was incorporated into the Greek pantheon. Other than in the theogony, the genealogy of the gods, 8th to 7th century BC, the Greek sources do not offer a consistent story of her parentage or of her relations in the Greek pantheon. This line of reasoning lies behind her role being already filled by other more prominent deities in the Greek pantheon, above all by Artemis and Selene, the personification of the moon. Hekatos, an obscure epithet of Apollo meaning 100, and the word ekon meaning willing, thus, she who works her will, may be related to the name Hekate in the Greek language. However, no Greek sources suggest will or willingness as a major attribute of Hekate, which makes this meaning of her name unlikely to be Greek in origin. A possible theory of a foreign origin for the name may be the word Heka in the ancient Egyptian language. In the Egyptian language, Heka is both the word for magic and the name of the god of magic and medicine. The word for spells, kasha, wens, is a combination of ka, the force, as in He-ka, collective force, and sha, meaning moment or will. Kasha means wens, such as the akasha, the records of the wens. To know the spells, kasha, of coming forth by day is to know the whens coming forth by day. Hekate was generally represented as three-formed or triple-bodied, though the earliest known images of the goddess are singular. Her earliest known representation is a small terracotta statue found in Athens, inscribed in the writing of the style of the 6th century. In artwork, she is often portrayed in 3 statues standing back to back, each facing outwards with its own special attributes: the torch, the keys, and the daggers. The torch is the illuminating factor of Lightbringer, Lucifer, bringing the light. The keys, however, are the exclusivity of the locked doors and having limited access to them. The daggers are the guardians to show a fierceness of keeping evil out. The general motif of a triple Hekate is situated around a central pillar, known as a Hekateon, and was used both at crossroads, shrines, as well as at the entrances to temples and private homes. The central pillar, of course, is central to Kabbalah, the tree of life, Etz Chaim. Some Hekate include additional dancing figures, identified as the charities or graces, circling the triple Hekate and her central pillar. The triple Hekate eventually evolved into representations of the goddess with a single body but 3 faces, to signify facing each direction on the 3-way crossroads. Hekate was written about by Greeks, esoterics, following Egyptian inspiration such as Hermeticism. In Egyptian-inspired Greek esoteric writings connected with Hermes Trismegistus, and in the Greek medical papyri of late antiquity, Hekate is described as having 3 heads: 1 dog, 1 serpent, and 1 horse. In other representations, her animal heads include those of a cow and a boar. Dogs were closely associated with Hekate in the classical world, as the great Anubis, Anpu, is also the lord of the underworld in Egyptian. Underworld was a Greek interpretation for the Duat, which in the original Egyptian context is actually celestial. The approach of Hekate is heralded by the howling of a dog, or the wolf, which are both forms of Anubis and his brother Wepawet, or wept white. The dog was Hecate's regular sacrificial animal and was often eaten in solemn sacrament. Although in later times Hecate's dog came to be thought of as a manifestation of restless souls or daemons who accompanied her. Daemons are like the word jinn. It neither indicates good or evil but a neutral, intermediate entity. Intermediate in the way of the physical and spiritual realm, or between the worlds. The female dog accompanying Hecate was originally the Trojan queen Hecuba, who leapt into the sea after the fall of Troy and was transformed by Hecate into her familiar to help her escape. Hecate's polecat, a weasel, was also once a woman that Hecate spared by transforming her appearance and appointing her as a sacred servant to herself. Rituals are initiatory practices based on understanding the ancient origins of Hecate in all her forms and forces or deific masks. Not only the origins, but how these deific masks based on each epithet, which is a divine name, Ren in Egyptian, or title, which relates to the specific type of energy or power, the Sekhem, the power form, or which of her specific areas of authority or the authority of that deity. An epithet is a descriptive word or phrase associated with that person. The epithet, Greek epitheton, adjective, from apathetos, additional, also a byname, is a descriptive term, word or phrase, commonly accompanying or occurring in place of their name. Adjectives are words that describe the attributes of the noun or name. Epithets are sometimes attached to the name or appear in place of their name, as what might be described as a glorified nickname. Nicknames originated in Egypt, or as a sobriquet, a familiar name used in place of a real name. It may become more familiar than the original name, distinct from a pseudonym. Sobriquets are a form of identification that go beyond a traditional name and offer insight into distinguishing features, often used by royalty or posthumously. Hekatos, the masculine form of the name Hekate, meaning to work from afar, was an epithet of Apollo, the Greek and Roman god associated with Mercury. Hecate has numerous transcendental manifestations. Each epithet represents a specific power, sekhem, role, energy, or nature, neter. In ancient Egypt, it was very important to occult names or keep them secret, as to know the name was to have authority over that spirit. At the same time, it was also important to preserve names and to not be ignorant of important epithets to show respect to that entity. Hecate was also known in the Testament of Solomon as Enepsigos, a fallen angel who takes many forms. However, Enepsigos refers to herself as a goddess, linked to ancient forms of the triple goddesses, and is distinguished as being able to shapeshift into a goddess as one of her forms. Each name or epithet is used to initiate a careful connection to each or many of her forms.